I picked John F. Kennedy because I like to think that we have a lot in common. Impossible mode because I have balls of steel. Going into this, my strategy was to run in a progressive platform to differentiate myself from Nixon, who was Eisenhower's VP. If there are two words that Americans love to hear during election season, it's new and more. New laws, more money in your bank account, a new Titanfall game. Stuff everybody likes, but probably won't actually happen. Unfortunately for me, the Eisenhower years were generally good for the economy, which is usually the deciding factor in elections. No matter, more shit! I don't need your goddamn advice! But thank you! What do you have to say about the selection of LBJ as your running mate? Well, you see, Texas has a lot of electoral votes that I want. He's a beautiful man, and he has my family. Hear that, bastards? Big Lyndon's coming for you. Much like Elon Musk and pretty much all of Southern California, I'm going to Texas. You'll begin to notice that I only visit the cash money states in the Electoral College, because that's how we do things in the land of burgers and freedom. Since its inception, Texas has been a deciding factor in US elections, and it's usually pretty competitive, so I want to dedicate a whole lot of time to it. Do you believe that the current level of defense spending is adequate? I took this question as an opportunity to paint the Eisenhower administration in a bad light. In this case, as light on communism. Doesn't matter if it's true or not. More nukes! That's right. Agree with my every move, motherfucker. Are you satisfied with the economy and economic policies of this country over the past 8 years? Here, I'm going with the age-old strategy of pinning something as complex as the economy on the president. I also like that this answer addresses industrial workers, which is a demographic that I'd love to capture. In reality, presidents rarely decide whether economies grow or decline, but it sure does look like it. Woo, look at all those electoral votes! There was a recent effort in Congress to pass a program to provide medical care to elderly Americans, but it was narrowly defeated. Will you make a further push for this type of program as president? Healthcare reform? Well, that probably won't happen, but I'll sure say it will. This is exactly what— Shut up, Eugene. Your mother doesn't love you. Another chance to make Eisenhower look bad. The situation in Cuba was quickly escalating after Castro took control in 1959. The Eisenhower admin embargoed the island and cut off relations. So my answer here isn't entirely a lie for once. A potential base for communist aggression? That's a knee slapper if I've ever heard one. How could Cuba be a base for communist aggression? No way. California's sure got a lot of people in it. Do you believe that the United States is adequately prepared against the Soviet threat over the next 10 years? Anti-communist sentiment was rampant through the years leading up to this election, so the natural course of action is fear-mongering. The missile gap was actually in the US's favor. Of course, we didn't know that because Khrushchev wasn't keen to parade the actual number around like it was his T-ball participation trophy. Nixon said what? Throughout the Eisenhower administration, Nixon made the office of VP more sought after. He acted as a bridge between Ike and GOP members of Congress. So, unlike most vice presidents up to this point, he wasn't sitting around giving Eisenhower back massages. And he did have actual experience. With that being said, we're gonna make this all about me. Because I'm John F. Kennedy. My balls are massive. 27? Man, no wonder people hate this system. Anti-Catholicism has been a huge issue thus far in the campaign. Do you have any comments? Okay, so the anti-Catholic sentiment was a big deal, because the separation of church and state, as well as fears that the Vatican would be able to hold a stake in US domestic affairs, were major talking points. Yeah, this seemed like a good answer. Sit-ins were a popular form of protest that took place throughout the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s, notably the Greensboro sit-ins that began in 1960, as a means to fight the Jim Crow laws in the southern US. I fully understood that I was throwing away the South, but roughly 3 people live there, so it shouldn't matter. Oh, and yes, a Civil Rights Act did happen, but LBJ ended up signing it in 1964. Alright, let's see. 12, 6, 3, 32? Should the US apologize to who the hell do you think I am? Did Dwight Eisenhower do the right thing when he sent federal troops to Little Rock to ensure the integration of the high school there? This question is referring to the situation in which, after the Supreme Court case, Brown versus the Board of Education, ruled that segregation of schools was unconstitutional, 9 black students were blocked from entering Little Rock Central High School by the Arkansas National Guard. So Eisenhower sent this little operation, known as the US military, down there to unblock them. And yes, it was the right thing to do, both legally and morally. Holy crap, whose idea was this? I say we tell them to screw off. There has been a proposal for a series of debates between me and Nixon. The 1960 election was the first with televised debate, and these severely hurt Nixon. Kennedy had the charisma necessary to resonate with the American people, and Nixon didn't. I mean, are you really surprised? Look at the man. You think he's pissed now? Wait till he finds out about the kangaroo. The Electoral College was established in Article 2, Section 1 of the US Constitution. Will you work to cut taxes as president? Here, I knew it was important to remain ambiguous. I didn't want a read my lips, no new taxes situation. Chapter 1 of Gaining Political Power for Personal Gain for Dummies says that you should wait until after you're in office to pass new tax laws. Do you support a minimum wage increase of $1.25 per hour, with an exception for small businesses? Yeah, the workers are gonna like this. More money, more fast cars, and more Fortnite skins. What's not to like? I'll win this election for sure. I'll go down as the greatest president of all time. I must have had a lapse here. Florida doesn't have nearly as many votes as it does now. Would you support the passage of a federal civil rights bill? Alright, let's see here. States' rights, what the hell are those? Addressed by individual states. Now, I'm not sure about you, Lyndon, but I don't trust Alabama with anything. Give them more than they asked for. Voting rights. What is your position on labor unions? By the 1950s, 1/3 of all workers were unionized after the merger of the AFL and CIO labor unions. And we wouldn't want to piss them off now, would we? I also had no idea what the Taft-Hartley Act was, but now I do. Basically, it restricted the power that unions had over employers. Now that doesn't sound very worker-friendly. And as we all know, workers are my favorite. Oh, fuck. Are crop subsidy policies necessary in 1960? During the Great Depression, there was an oversupply of crops. So, as a part of the New Deal, the FDR admin founded the AAA, or Agricultural Adjustment Act, which was used to control the supply by paying farmers not to produce. I wasn't really sure how to answer this question, but thinking is overrated anyways. Call me Albert Einstein. At this point in the campaign, it's optimal to draw as many headlines questioning your sanity as possible. I'm pretty sure it worked for one guy. So, Cuba is planning an invasion of the US via manatees mounted with machine guns. The hell you say to me, you little shit? North Carolina is beautiful. It's got beaches, beautiful landscapes, and a hell of a lot of electoral weight. I believe this is referring to the 1958 Taiwan Strait crisis, in which mainland China bombarded the island of Quemoy, Taiwan's first line of defense against communist aggression, with artillery. At this point, I've become more anti-communist than your next door neighbor. So there's really only one correct answer here. Vote Kennedy 1960. I swear I won't end the world. What would you do to combat increasing unemployment in America's industrial cities? Well, the answer is obvious. lower the minimum wage to a nickel and half a bottle of beer per week, mandate 80-hour work weeks, and get rid of all regulations. Ah, I can see the headlines now. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to lie. It feels great. I have family here, I swear. On October 19th, 1960, MLK went to a student-organized sit-in in Atlanta, Georgia. And because the preamble of the Declaration of Independence uses rather ambiguous language when it comes to the meaning of all men, this was illegal. 51 students, plus MLK, were arrested as a result of the incident. So I'ma call the governor of Georgia. He'll listen to me. I know what he did. What the fuck? Don't worry, I'll find them. It shouldn't be that hard. Ford F-150s are pretty big. I've been kicked out of every other state. Sir, where will you spend the final day of your campaign? Getting blackout drunk on live television. Electoral landslide. Coming right up. Okay, well, no surprise there. I told you I know what he did. Vermont has like 6 people in it. We're good. Excuse me. Who the hell are you? There's something in the water in Florida. It hardly counts. They were dumping the ballots into Lake Michigan. I knew you were weak, Eugene. Concession speech? The only speech I'll be giving is the one at my inauguration. No way that guy won. That expression just says, I sure do love communism. Let's see the results. I bet it was close enough to challenge in court. Rigged! In case you were wondering, this is the actual 1960 electoral map, compared to mine. Yeah. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe with notifications so you don't miss my new video next Saturday. I've been Mado, and I'll see you soon.